Welcome everybody to the North Fair Oaks Community Council meeting for the month of August. Mitzi, if we can get started with roll call, that'd be great.
Of course. Chair Everardo Rodriguez.
Here.
Vice Chair Beatriz Cerillo.
Here.
Councilmember Rosario Gonzalez.
Here.
Councilmember Linda Lopez.
Here.
Councilmember Rosaura Lopez.
Here.
Councilmember Blair Whitney.
Here.
Councilmember Jennifer Ruiz.
Here.
Youth Member Francis Santos.
Here.
Alternative Youth Member Esmeralda Rosales.
Thank you very much. We will have public comment. Anyone may speak up to 2 minutes on any topic not on the agenda tonight. If you decide to do so, please fill out a speaker slip. They will be given to you by the table at the entrance. And the council may not discuss or take action on any items not on the agenda tonight. Is there any public comment?
No.
No. Okay, great. So we will proceed with the third item of tonight's agenda. That'll be the Multicultural Institute. We get a quarterly update, and we'll have a presentation by Mr. Cesar Mesa Esfil and Gregor Veladi.
Oh, okay. Let's see. There's a public comment. Yeah.
We got one.
Sorry, we came a little late. Did you have a speaker? Yeah. That's Melissa and Jessica from KIP.
Oh, yeah, you could think, yeah, this is
Okay. All right. So Jessica from KIP. Melissa.
That is a public comment? One minute. Probably.
Okay.
that's two public.
So it's 2 public comments. First one, Melissa.
I'm actually going to speak first. My name is Jessica Miranda. I work with KIP Excelencia, which is the new charter school that we have right on Fair Oaks. And my role is I am the assistant principal of operations. So I just wanted to be here and introduce myself to the community.
Thank you very much. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Melissa Salgado, Associate Director of Community Engagement for KIP Bay Area Public Schools. Oh, this is a little. I'm actually here. I have some flyers. We are working currently on getting a really great traffic plan just to make sure that everyone is safe around our school, which is at Fair Oaks Elementary. So I just wanted to be here in support, and I have flyers for all of you in case you have more questions. We will be here just to answer anything, but we just wanted to introduce ourselves to the community and let you all know that we are working on keeping our neighborhood and our students and families safe, and we hope that we can collaborate with you in the future.
Thank you, Ms. Salgado. If you could give the flyers to Mitzi for distribution, and anyone from the public who may be interested in one flyer, you can get it from Mitzi. Thank you. And now the presentation from the Multicultural Institute.
Good evening, council members and San Mateo County staff and the public present. My name is Cesar Mesas Baile, and I'm representing the Multicultural Institute, and I'm the Day Labor Program Director in North Fair Oaks. So today we're gonna make actually not only the quarterly report, but it's gonna be we're gonna report the whole last fiscal year. So there you have the program overview for the whole year. I'm gonna focus on the totals and average numbers on the bottom. So in the first part, the first area, is it day labors related? numbers. Last fiscal year, present on the street, the average number, it was 25 day laborers contacted by staff in a daily basis. As you know, we do outreach every morning on 5th Avenue towards El Camino Real and also on Middlefield Road at the Chavez Supermarket parking lot. And we contact 100% of the day laborers in a daily basis. So we contact all the day laborers who are present on the street. Related with the job matches, job placement assistance, the total of jobs that we offer to the day laborers and also the domestic workers, and it was 446 jobs. Employer satisfaction, it was 98% of satisfaction. Unduplicated day laborers registered, it was 216 day laborers last fiscal year. And light green area, other people served, unduplicated employers who hired day laborers last fiscal year, it was 118. And unduplicated other low income served, 224. And then the last area is the direct services and referrals, legal, labor, immigration, and other legal-related cases. The total number was 200. Health cases, 521. Food bank, snacks, and meals distributed to the day laborers and other low income, 7,891. So we usually, on a daily basis, we take snacks to the day laborers on the streets, and also we distribute food for them when they need it. They can go to our house and get some food. In the housing service, we host last year 6 day laborers in our house on Warrington, 533 Warrington Avenue. And the workshops and trainings, most of those workshops were offered directly on the streets for the day laborers, presented by my staff and other partners, including our Friends of Caron program, Catholic Charities, and Community Legal Services of East Palo Alto, and other partners. We offered 29 workshops, and the attendance was 331 participants. Other cases or other services who are not legal, health, food, or housing, or workshops, it was 630. So the total number, I cannot read it, of services and referrals.
9,640.
Appreciate it, thank you. So, and I'm not going to read everything, all this, but here, and I think the committee members, the council's committee members, they have the entire information for you. You can read it. So here is the breakdown for all the services and referrals for the last fiscal year. I just would like to highlight a couple of things related with the legal cases. I would like to highlight all the immigration procedures, advice, recommendation letters, and referrals to legal nonprofits who offer immigration services. It was 56, as you see right there. And services related with wage claim cases, we call 34 employers who owe money to their laborers. We give 24 wage claim advices on information, and we submit 8 small claim forms to the court. And also we sent 4 letters to bad employers. And then related with the medical, on the street we distribute 433 kits for prevention against STDs and HIVs. And also we help referring and helping in different ways the day laborers in order to get their AIDS and and medical program. It was 65. And other services, I would like to highlight that we hand out 131 bicycles and helmets. And this, I need to say thank you to the Caron program, because we received this donation from Samtrans through Caron program. So thank you so much, and Sergeant Lopez is here. Thank you. Here we have a kind of end of the year administrative report. I'm just going to focus on a couple of things. So the performance measures, as you know, we work on the contract with the San Mateo County. And there you have the performance measures that we have in that contract, the targets, and then the outcomes. So the number of the labor served, the target was 200, and actually we registered 216. Number of employees served, 100, and we had 118. Number of other low-income individuals served, 150, and we served 224. The percentage of the laborers who obtain jobs, 70%, and we that is a challenge for us. It was 51%. Later, I'm going to explain you a little bit why. Customer satisfaction, we're talking about employers and also the laborers related with the job placement. It was 90%, and the outcome, it was 98%. So basically, we exceed almost all the outcomes in our contract the last fiscal year. And as of June 30, there were a total, as I said, 446 job placements made to short-term and long-term employment. And the rates for these jobs is, the minimum rate is $20 per hour for basic jobs, and it can go to the sometimes $30 per hour. And the minimum is 3 hours job. If the employer don't need them, the day labor for 3 hours, and they need it just for 1 hour, we ask the employer to pay at least for 3 hours. And the reason for that is when we send somebody to work for an employer, is no way for them to come back to the street and get another job. So basically, they are giving to you or to the employer their whole working day. And many job placements result in repeat hires and long-term employment. And a total of $75,188 were earned through the job placement link last fiscal year through MI. Community engagement. MI actively participating in the North Fair Oaks community through meetings, events, and partnership. Staff represent MI and provide program updates during the North Fair Oaks Council meetings each quarter. And we also, for example, with the staff and the day laborers recently attend the Busy Keeping Clean, the annual North Fair Oaks cleaning event as a volunteers, and also we participate in the mural inauguration celebration. Where needed, staff also helps to find volunteers for partners events and gatherings. Staff regularly attends and is part of the Immigration Forum, the San Mateo County Complete Count Committee, and the Caron Advisory Board. MI also facilitate the laborers and community team building opportunities in 2 concrete ways: the street cleanup, and also Navidad Jornalera, the day labor Christmas celebration every year. And second, once a month, staff hosts evening day labor meetings at Casa de Paz y Bien. And every other week, we also host meetings for the domestic workers here at the community center. Some highlights and accomplishments. The wage claims. There were a total of 40 wage claim cases this cycle, of which 27 cases were resolved, and the total dollar amount recovered was $17,260. Domestic workers, as I mentioned before, staff hosted evening meetings for women every 2 weeks at the community center, and we already registered 21 women registered. And we are offering trainings, workshops, and also job placement assistance to these women. So if somebody here knows a domestic worker who is looking for a group like this, please refer them to us. So I think my time is over. So, and here you have some demographics that you can see. This is the demographics for the day laborers, age distribution, country of origin, and city of residence. And here you have the demographics for the employers, the city of residence, and also the type of employer.
And do council members have brief questions?
How are you, Cesar?
Good, thank you, Linda.
Okay, so the 224 other low-income individuals served, are you putting the domestic workers in there?
No, the domestic
Are they
workers are part of the day labor program.
Okay, so who are these? Are just individuals that are in contact with the workers and needed?
Usually they are referred from day laborers, and also because we're in partnership with other organizations like Catholic Worker House. We help them also with their food distribution. We're in partnership with that, and other organizations that we also serve. And some county departments, sometimes they refer people to us, or clinics, usually for the wage claim cases, also for the food when we have some people on the streets during our outreach and we're distributing the snacks. We offer the snack for everyone who want to get something to eat in the morning. And then the bicycles that we distribute is not only for day laborers and domestic workers, but also for other people. And this day, as we are having some people knocking the door of the house, and they say, "So I need a bike." Somebody told me that you can offer a bike. We always, if we have it, we say yes, because we are here not only to serve the day laborers, but the community in general.
And I just had one more question. After Fair Oaks closed, the school, did you find an alternative space for classes or?
For the mass program?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Linda, unfortunately, no.
Is that-
So, and right now we don't have the staff
Oh, okay.
to do that, and neither the funds for that
Possible
program.
that it might continue in the future.
I hope in the future we can. We have the program in Berkeley and also in Richmond, and it's a wonderful program. And it's we call it Mentoring for Academic Success. And also we have during the summer the Youth Writing Festival, and was very successful for more than 2 years here at the Fair Oaks School. Unfortunately, the school closed, and we also closed the program. But we are open to reopen it in the near future.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the good work that you're doing.
Thank you so much, Linda.
Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
We'll go on to the next item. Actually, if there's any public comment for this specific item from the public, I don't see any. So the next item will be a report from the California Highway Patrol. This quarterly update presentation by Officer Art Montiel from the CHP.
Good evening. My name is Officer Art Montiel with the California Highway Patrol, Redwood City area. We don't have any. We haven't had any major incidents since our last meeting. We've increased our patrol in the area. We have also. I don't know if you guys were aware. We did a pedestrian enforcement on July 16th, and we posted that on Facebook. A lot of the community were very excited to see that. I think we got over about 55,000 views on that. There's a lot of comments on that. So. Apparently, we've had some issues with people not allowing or not yielding to pedestrians on the crosswalks on Middlefield. So there were several suggestions that we referred to county roads. Some people said to put red lights instead of the yellow lights. I mean, people need to be aware that they need to yield to pedestrians, whether there's lights or no lights. I mean, as long as the crosswalk is there. So basically, they just need to be paying more attention. During that enforcement, we cited 34 motorists, and we issued 3 verbal warnings. And I know we usually don't issue very many verbal warnings, but if there's something that we're not sure about, we're not going to cite them. We're going to issue a warning, and we still made the contact. We made them aware. We kind of educate them as well. For those of you that are not aware, that you haven't been to these meetings in the past, the Redwood City office services about 550 square miles in the Bay Area. On 101, we cover from Millbrae all the way down to Mountain View, where NASA is. 280, we cover from Skyline by Millbrae all the way down to Foothill. We cover parts of 237, 85. On Highway 192, we cover from Cloudwater and Hayward all the way to Highway 1. Highway 1, we cover from Devil's Slide all the way to Santa Cruz County line. Skyline Boulevard, we cover from 92 all the way down to the coast. On 92, or Skyline Boulevard, we cover from 92 all the way to Highway 9. So there's a huge area that we cover. And usually on a good day, we'll have maybe, 14 officers to cover the entire area. So we rely a lot on the assistance from the sheriff, and we do a lot of events and a lot of enforcement together with the sheriff. So with that being said, I also want to introduce our lieutenant. He is here. I think he transferred in May, I believe, or in January, sorry. And his name is Mayolo Banuelos, and he is from Central Division, I believe, right?
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. My name is Mayolo Banuelos. I've been on for about 17 years now. Been here since January. Been wanting to come to the meetings. I'm the field lieutenant. We have 2 lieutenants in our area command here. So I'm in charge of the field, oversee our operations. I'll give you guys my business card, and I know Officer Montel does a great job here communicating with you guys, and we're here to service the community and the public here in any way we can. Please just keep us updated of any service we can provide to you guys. So that's about it for me.
Welcome.
Thank you.
All right, so that's pretty much the update that we have for since the last meeting. Do you guys have any questions for us, or?
Any questions from council members? Please go ahead. I do have one in regards to the operation that you just had, for pedestrians. I think, and I speak for myself, that many times it is confusing, as a motorist to know or to remember the rules, whether, after one pedestrian, so the vehicle has to stop, up until the pedestrian reaches the opposite curb or not. And I know that is, same confusion for many motorists.
Yeah. So basically, the law basically says that if there's a pedestrian on the crosswalk, you need to stop until they're done crossing, unless there's a center divide or a concrete divider, like on El Camino Real. You notice there's a concrete divide. Once they reach that point, then you may go. Are we going to cite somebody if they have safely passed or they're slowly going? It depends on the officer. It's going to be officer discretion. However, we use a lot of common sense and letter of the law versus the spirit of the law. So if we feel that it's safe, the officer may not cite them, but by law, they need to allow the person to cross the street all the way through.
Thank you. Yeah. Any other questions? Go ahead, Blair.
I just want to say I like your suggestion about the flashing red lights on Middlefield. They've got think 2 or 3 of them on El Camino that they've added the last couple of years, and it's solid red. You know there's a bicyclist or a pedestrian, and then when it's flashing, it turns into like a stop sign.
Correct.
I think that would be good, at least on 1 or 2 spots on Middlefield.
Yeah, so for those of you that don't know, anytime you have those red lights, if it's red, obviously you need to stop for people crossing. If you're riding your bicycle, you're not allowed to ride your bicycle on a crosswalk. You need to walk your bike on the crosswalk. If you're riding your bike and you get hit by a car, there's a chance that you may be found at fault because at that point you are a vehicle. So you need, if you're using the crosswalks, you need to walk your bike. Once and I've seen those lights over on El Camino by Target, a lot of times once the lights start flashing, a lot of people just stay there. They're kind of waiting, and once the lights start flashing, then you need to treat it as a stoplight. So basically, you allow other vehicles to cross. If there's nobody else, let's say in El Camino is basically just one north and south. So you stop and then you go. You stop and you go, and that's how that works.
Great. Thanks very much for coming.
Oh, she has a question over here.
Is there any law regarding people just going to the crosswalk and texting or watching at the videos and they're taking their sweet time?
I'm sorry. Could you? We will take that as a public comment. But if you can speak at the mic so that people can hear you. We cannot hear you.
I'm just wondering if there's any law regarding people going to the crosswalk and texting or looking at the videos and they just taking the precious time going to the crosswalk. Because
That's a good question. There is no law that says that you cannot text while you're walking. However, common sense will dictate that you need to pay attention. Just because you're the pedestrian and you have the right of way doesn't mean that you're not going to get hit. I mean, there are people that are distracted while they're driving, and even though you may have the right of way, you might be dead, and at that point it won't really matter. So unfortunately there is no law for that, but who knows, maybe eventually they will. The driver will be at fault, yes. Right. So
any other public comment? Thanks very much again.
Great, thank you
for coming. We'll go on next to a presentation from the Sheriff's Department, presentation by Captain Christina Corpus. She's not here. If you can introduce yourself, sir.
I will.
Welcome.
Good evening. My name is Sergeant Andy Huey. I'm the Administrative Sergeant for Headquarters Patrol, which includes North Fair Oaks area. I work directly for Captain Corpus. Unfortunately, she could not be here tonight. She is away on another matter outside the air, so she's asked that I present tonight. So this staff report will update the North Fair Oaks Councils on crime, organizational performance, and community outreach initiatives. First, we're going to talk about Part 1 crimes, which includes, we're going to compare this second quarter from 2019 to 2018. There were no homicides. Our rapes went from 4 to 2. Robberies stayed the same at 2. Our assaults went from 7 to 4. Our burglaries, which include commercial and residentials, went from 6 to 5. Our larceny, unfortunately, went up from 14 to 25, and those are petty crime thefts such as thefts from an unlocked vehicle, simple assaults, things along those natures, and our vehicle thefts went from 5 to 4. This kind of talks about the percentage of our violent crimes that went down. Rape went down 50%. Assaults with injuries, aggravated assaults, including assaults with great bodily injury, things along those lines, went down 42%. And the nonviolent Part 1 crimes, including our residential burglaries and commercial burglaries, residential stayed the same, and commercials went down. As for citations, there's a slight increase from 2018 to 2019, as you can see, 2,400 to 2,800 for parking citations. Moving citations went from 334 to 473, and bicyclists, we went from none last year to 2 this quarter. I'm actually going to skip this slide and come back to it. Our clearance rates essentially reflects law enforcement's ability to solve the crime, either with an arrest or report to the DA's office, arrest warrant, along those lines. As you can see, sorry. Our biggest increase was in the assaults, up 125%. So what that generally means is that we solved a case from a prior time period. Our robbery solve rate was 50%. Our burglary, including residential and commercial, went from 16 to 25%. Our larceny stayed even at 14, 12%, and our vehicle theft went from 20 to 0. That doesn't really reflect what we're doing now, because I know that we've had arrests related to car burglaries. Stolen vehicles that are not reflected in this, that are going to come out in this quarter. So I'm going to talk about the overall crime trends and responses. Proactive response by the sheriff's office. We had cars being broken into to help support our CHP friends. We had a complaint about auto vehicles not yielding to pedestrians. So we put out signboards. We recently bought signboards through the sheriff's office, and we placed them on 2500 Middlefield, warning pedestrians of or vehicles to drive safely. We use it for other things too. Burglary suppression, lock your vehicles, don't leave things in sight. We also use intelligence-led policing. So what we do is this is part of our technology base that we have. We actually have a crime analyst who looks at, basically goes through every report every morning and will look at trends for us. If they see a specific trend, for example, burglaries, commercial burglaries at 3 a.m. scattered throughout North Fair Oaks over a period of time, we'll create with essentially a blog, in our office blog, where the administrative sergeant, myself, the captain will get notice, hey, would you like to put up a blog for this? We see this trends. And we'll say yes. What we'll then do is we'll instruct our patrol teams, focus on this areas during this time because there's a trend here. We have 4 different teams. Not all of them are going to talk at the same time because no one can work 24 hours a day. What this does, this allows me, if I am working day shift, to post a note. I went there at 5 a.m. at the beginning of my shift. There's nothing there. Well, the night before, if they went there at 3, that's also logged. I'm sorry, and I go there at 5 in the morning. There's something that's been broken into. We know it's within that 2 hours of time period. But it kind of lets us share information with each other. Engaging the community. We've done several events throughout this quarter. National Night Out in the parking lot here. Community barbecues in the Fair Oaks, Hampshire area to promote community enhancement, getting to know everybody. Actually, real quick, I'm going to go with 4th of July stats real quick. I know it's not that quarter, but what we did is we had multi-agency collaboration with CAL FIRE, Menlo Fire, Redwood City Police Department, which included sign trailers, fireworks are unsafe, door hangers, public service announcements, banners, supplemental patrols. Last year, we had 34 calls of service for firework calls. This year, we went down to 28. Also, we used advanced technology, knowing where fireworks are being deployed and set off. Last year, there were 279 activations. This year, there were 226. So a decrease. We're working on it. We had supplemental patrols out there as well. Community at large, we do a lot of different events. 2 big ones that we're doing that's coming up are the Caron 20th anniversary. We'll be having it here in this parking lot. And
we're going to have a collaborative event with Board of Supervisor. We're going to do a mental health wellness Academy.
And we'll be doing the Mental Health Wellness Academy during this upcoming quarter. And any questions?
They will have a mental health care event.
Oh, okay. What, do you have a date yet for the mental health event?
October 8th. It's going to start
Oh.
October 8th.
Okay. I actually have a couple of questions.
Go ahead.
Sorry, so October 8th, do you know where yet?
It's going to be here.
Oh, okay.
Community Center.
Okay.
It's going to be 6 weeks long, too. We're still working out the logistics.
Oh, okay, great. Domestic violence, is it within its own category, or is it part of assaults? I didn't see it on your paperwork.
I believe, my understanding is that,
I'm looking at the clearance rates.
oh, sorry. I believe they are categorized with the aggravated assaults, but I'm not 100%. I can have an answer for you next time that we meet, but I believe that's under the aggravated assaults.
Yeah, that'd be great to have that separated out. Thank you. And my other question, in light of all the domestic terrorism that's happened in our country, is the Sheriff's Department doing anything different to, I know we're here in the Bay Area, but, you know, like people say where it happened, they couldn't believe it would happen there, right? So what are you guys doing different, if anything?
So,
Take a closer look at that.
So, for example, we, part of being Headquarters Patrol, we have the Kings Mountain Art Wine Festival on Skyline.
Right.
So we met with CHP ourselves. We devised a plan to come up with enforcement, parking. But one of the biggest things we did is we have access to NCRIC, which is the Fusion Center, where it's a state government agency where we ask for a threat assessment, and we give them all the details of the event and date, time, things like that, and they'll do a workup of the event. And then usually I think I got it a couple days ago, so about 10 days out, we'll get an initial threat assessment of, hey, this is what we see if any threats are going on. Prior to the event, we'll then get a second update if there are any changes. So those are little things that we do. Staffing, try to staff as best as we can. We look at each individual event individually.
Thank you.
One quick question. So some time ago, our council had requested if you had specific statistics about youth-related crimes. So it would be great if those can be included, in some sort of way, since we are actually very interested, in knowing how the youth in North Fair Oaks, are doing, and whether crime goes up or down, because that also, would be good information for our schools to have, etc.
Okay, I can look into that. Juveniles, working with juveniles sometimes is a little harder because it doesn't always go through us, because it's Hillcrest that deals with a lot of it. We can look into that. We've also been working with KIPP School. I know they were here earlier about their traffic plan. A little background in that is that they went from 250 students with the prior school to close to 1,100 with KIPP School, Kids Connect, and the teachers. So we're working with them on traffic flow plans to get kids in and out, because it's an impact on the community, especially in that area. We're planning to meet next week. This week was the first week of school. Like anything new, we need to revisit where we're at. So it's an ongoing work with them and our friends at CHP. So.
Thanks. And I have two comments. One is in regards of the the printouts, if you know, if it would be possible to make the slides a little larger, that would be great. We would appreciate it because it's really difficult to see all the tiny letters and the details. So
I'll leave this one for you guys. We actually had bigger ones made, so I thought they were ready. So
he was taking care of it.
yeah, no, that we would appreciate. And then my last comment is essentially just to commend you, you know, for the work that you guys are doing, because I know that, you know, the statistics going down on sexual assaults, etc. You know, those might be directly related to the work that you guys have been doing to the domestic violence, you know, gatherings in the community. So I'd just like to commend you for your work, and I hope that you can continue, you know, that good work with the community.
thank you.
And then Blair, go ahead.
A quick question: is there a home surveillance camera registry? Like, I don't have one yet, but one of my neighbors and I were talking about getting one for the parking lot. If we get something and it covers the parking lot and part of the street, do we need to call and let you guys know? Or
So the captain's actually working on that right now. That's one of her projects that we've been working on. It's in the works.
okay,
Is the best thing I can tell you. We are starting to work on that. The whole idea is we would go to neighbors' houses, pass out flyers. If you'd like to register your cameras so that we know if a crime happened, we take that information, obviously leave it for ourselves, so that if a crime happened on your block, we can easily say, hey, we know there's cameras there. We'd get you a sign, you know, helping the neighborhood, something along those lines. I know that, did we word those already? I think we are deep into the process of it. That was the captain's idea, and we're slowly getting to that point.
Rosaura?
Yeah, through the chair. And I have a
That's probably the last question because
okay.
the time is up for
I have a question about the 4th of July. Can you give us a little bit more information about it? I know it's hard to read it, but I heard some comments from the community. They said when they call to the numbers to the sheriff, they never answer, and there is an answer machine. So, and here I saw that it said you use, technology. Can you explain to us a little bit more about
So
that?
I don't know what number they called. If they call the 363-4911, that will send you to basically not a switchboard, a choice of if this is a life threat emergency, push 1. You know, that gives you that option. So that I don't know what number they called. And as far as your second question is the technology, ShotSpotter technology allows us to look at fireworks, gunshots in a specific area. And we use that historical data to decide where we're going to place our door hangers. I can tell you we worked on the Buckingham area, the Halsey area, Williams area were kind of our focus points.
Okay, maybe for next year, before the 4th of July, to maybe give also the phone number when you come here to present the report before the 4th of July.
The phone number is
give us, the phone number, a specific phone number where the community can call you to report, something from fireworks. So
the phone number is 650-363-4911, and that's our dispatch number.
Oh, okay.
And that's who you would want to respond. Because if it happens in the middle of the night, if you call my desk, you're not going to get me. You want someone immediately, they'll send somebody out.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we have public comment. Go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Gabriela Valencia, and I'm a resident here. And I have two questions about the presentation. One is, how does the number of crimes solved compare to other neighboring cities? And just because some of the numbers, like there was 20% of car theft crime solved? And of course, you mentioned it went down to 0, but it's because the new numbers for this quarter haven't been included. But even 20% seems so low, but I'm wondering how that compares to other cities. And the second question is, how do you announce the events that you're organizing? And if you do it through the schools, how would people that don't have children, like school-age children, find out about your events? Because the reason why I ask is because I saw that there was an event not too long ago right here in the parking lot, but I had no idea that was going on until I drove by, so I think other people may not be aware of those events also, and so the participation may seem lower than if more people found out about it. Thank you.
I'll do the first one. The first one, I don't have specific numbers compared to other agencies around us. That's generally something we don't get. As far as the second half of the question, I'm going to let Sergeant Victor Lopez, our CARE-ON director, kind of answer that one.
Hi, my name, as my partner said, my name is Victor Lopez. I am the current director of the CARE-ON program, part of the community policing. So what we try to do is we try to go door to door. We send flyers. We try to put flyers throughout all the businesses. Our captain right now is working on updating our technology. We're going to get a texting alert. So when you come to one of our events, if you want to be part of that, you can sign up, and we're going to send mass texts out to everybody so everyone's aware of the events. And I really want to promote our 20th anniversary of the CARE-ON program. It's a great program. It's going to be a good day. It'll be here on September 21st, so we're going to have lots of food and fun things for the kids, and we're going to acknowledge some of the people that were part of growing this program and creating this program back in since 1999. There's a lot of the communities here. That program can't exist without the community. And it means a lot to me because I'm from the community. So, you know, I take pride in this program like everybody else here. So I hope you guys are able to make it September 21st. We left some flyers there in Spanish and English. So if you have any questions, you can always give us a call.
Thank you both very much for your presentation.
Thank you. And I'll leave the presentation, the bigger slides.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
Are you done with public comment?
Yeah, but we're done.
Okay, well,
Let's see.
I have a suggestion that the council get the report back from juvenile probation. We've never had representative here from juvenile probation to give any type of a report.
Yeah.
But in light of what I'm hearing from the sheriffs, I think it would be good to give us another perspective. So that's number one. Number two, the cameras that are in North Fair Oaks were set up to catch illegal dumping.
Right.
That was a whole original concept. If the cameras now are being used for other things, I would like a report to council specifically on what the plan is. And I didn't know that residential cameras could be registered with the sheriff. So there's a lot of stuff going on with the cameras. I'd like to hear what the plan is. Anyway,
Right.
that's for future agenda. Thank you.
Right. Yeah. Just briefly on the second item, you mentioned about the cameras. I asked this specific question about, residents wanting to volunteer their residential cameras to be fed to, to the sheriff's department, essentially because many times there are crimes in residential specific places where the residents want to volunteer that particular information. So as I understand that is just on a volunteering basis. If you have if you put a camera on your house and you want that feed to go to the sheriff, eventually when they figure out how the system may work, then you may do so.
No, that's fine, but I want to have a fuller discussion.
Yeah.
On how many cameras are there? What is the current need? Is it actually tackling the illegal dumping problem? What are the parameters? Because there are privacy issues. And we brought this up about, I don't know, almost 2 years ago when Mike Callaghy was part of this group. So I just want to know where it's going.
Yeah,
That's all. That's
we
it.
will
Thank you.
revisit that. Good comments. Thank you. So we'll move on to the next item, which is an update regarding the Redwood Junction future construction. And presentation will be given by Mr. Michael Kaplan. Is the project developer from Mercy Housing. Welcome.
Thank you, council members, for having us back. My name is Mike with Mercy Housing. Also with me is Tim from Mercy, Jung from BAR Architects, and then Gloria and Hortensia from El Concilio, who are helping us with our community outreach and eventually the marketing lease-up process to get everyone to apply. So we were here back in May introducing ourselves, and since then we've been working on the design of the site and the buildings and meeting with community members, and it's actually great. I see a lot of people that we've met with in the past, so thank you for coming tonight. Well, you've met us in the past, so I don't think I need to go back through who we are. We're a nonprofit affordable housing development organization. I think just the main thing to note is that we own and manage all the developments that we work on. So when we're thinking about the design and construction of the buildings, we're thinking about it for the long term, how it's going to last and hold up well. And we also provide resident services. In addition to managing our buildings, have services on site for our residents to help connect them to additional support that they may need. Is everyone familiar with Middlefield Junction, the site where we're talking about tonight? It's behind the North Fair Oaks Health Clinic. Okay. It's right now, it's vacant. It was the old recycling center. This is an old, okay. Hold on. Well, this is a little old, but we can work with it. I'll just go briefly through, hopefully we have the new plans to show you. So we're at 179 units, so right around the same that we were before, of affordable housing. We have 1 bedrooms that can house individuals or seniors, all the way up to 3 bedrooms that can house larger families, ranging from 30% to 80% of area median income, which I'll show you on the next slide what that actually means, what is affordable housing, as well as we're at around 15 to 20% of the units will be set aside for people experiencing homelessness. There's also a child care. It's going to be subsidized childcare that's open to all residents, not just those living in our buildings. And then an additional community space as well, which will be sort of like a public community space. So this is the chart. We've shown this a few times because there have been a lot of questions on what is the affordability level, what is the income to live there and the rents. I don't want to spend too much time going through this, but I think the main thing to note is just we're going to have units at a lot of different incomes to be able to house very low income residents all the way up to more middle income, and then again a number of units for homeless residents. And we're going to have a lot of staff. We had some questions on maintenance and upkeep. We're going to have a lot of staff at the property to maintain it. It's going to be clean and well maintained, and we also have contracts for landscaping services and that sort of thing. We have a staff member that lives on site, so there's someone there 24 hours a day if there is an emergency. And of course, there's employment opportunities both through our on-site staff, but also through the construction process. So we've had a number of community meetings since May. Sorry, I did have an updated slide on this. Just we've had a lot of different community meetings. But one of the things we do want to ask you at the end of this is how best to keep in touch with the council and the community going forward. So just want to bring that back up at the end. So we are going through the approval process with the county. We're hoping that that's going to be smooth because we are 100% affordable housing. So we have streamlined approval processes. So we're hoping that by the end of the year, we'll have our approvals through the county process, which will allow us to start applying for funding. All of our funding comes from public sources. So we have to apply for that funding. So hopefully next year we'll do that. And if all goes well and we have the funding necessary, we can start construction in 2021. I know a lot of community members we've met with want this to go faster. I apologize. This would be fast, honestly. Okay. I don't know, Jung, this looks old. I apologize. So can I actually just put my flash drive in? I have the... Oh, I do want to, sorry, can I talk about this real quick? We've gotten a lot of great feedback from the community. Everyone is very supportive. There have been a few concerns I just want to address and make sure that, everyone knows we're aware, we're thinking about these topics. Traffic, we know that intersection of the health clinic in Middlefield is pretty bad. The county has plans for a traffic light there, which will help, and we're very much supportive of that and working with DPW to get that done. We're trying to work to improve the pedestrian access to both our site and the health clinic. And then, of course, parking, is always a topic that comes up. All of our parking is going to be on our site behind the health clinic. And I think the main thing just to avoid any conflict with parking in the health clinic is just going to be strong communication between our staff, who, a lot of staff that we have on site, and the county and the health clinic, and making sure that we work together if there is an issue that comes up. Okay. Sorry, it took almost longer. That's right.
Good evening. My name is Jung Suh from BAR Architects. I'll give you kind of a brief overview of where we're at right now. Just to give you kind of a general understanding of the site, again, we have the health center parking lot, the health center obviously, and then we have our site kind of broken down into two zones. The first zone in the middle is a little bit more of a public zone where we have the child care center and the community center and the amenity for the residential. And then we have on the left side is another building, and on the ground floor we put the majority of the parking on that side so that it's basically facing the tracks. So we're taking all the parking, or most of the parking, putting it away from the view from the public and putting it towards the tracks. One of the most interesting things that we're doing right now is in between the two buildings, we originally had a street that bypassed through it. And what we did was we completely closed it off so that it is pedestrian only, so that outdoor space can be used by the residents, it can be used by the public, and it's going to be a much safer zone for everyone there. Again, some of the amenities that we're thinking about from a landscape perspective, obviously we're going to have a lot of outdoor seating. That central space that I mentioned is an opportunity for some sort of events. We're looking at a lot of play structures and play areas, and we're also even thinking about having some sort of an exercise loop around the site so that you can kind of traverse through the site without worrying about cars and traffic. And on the second building, on the podium level, we're introducing a couple of things. Outdoor seating, obviously, barbecues, community gardens, I think is going to be a great asset. And also, we're going to have play structures, and the courtyard there is going to be shared by everybody as far as all the residents are concerned. And then just quickly, you can see the ground floor plan here. The red represents the child care that's facing the health clinic. We have a community center that's down at the bottom right hand. And then again, as I mentioned before, all the parking, most of the parking is towards the left-hand side facing the tracks. And then the yellow represents the lobbies of the two buildings. And again, we're trying to kind of centralize that a little bit, and it's surrounded by sort of an outdoor space there. The typical floor for the residents, again, the left-hand building there shows the podium level with all the green spaces and outdoor spaces. And again, what we're trying to do is all the units, we're trying to not have them face directly onto the tracks so that they're basically looking west and east. We also have an amenities area there on the podium so that it's easily accessible by the residents. And then as we start to get into the architecture a little bit, it's really about defining these outdoor public spaces. This is the community outdoor plaza that's facing the community center on the right-hand side. And then you can see the lobbies of the two buildings, and they're all trying to really be interactive and trying to keep that as open, as vibrant as we can. This is the Paseo. Again, this is pedestrian only. There's drop-offs on both the east and the west side, but the central area there is going to be pedestrian only, and it's going to be accessed by, again, the public and the residents. There were some concerns about shadows. Most of the sun or most of the shadows are going to be towards the afternoon. The worst case scenario is obviously during the winter times when the sun is at its lowest. But you can see on the bottom right-hand corner there, it's going to get a little deeper than that. That's 3 o'clock in the afternoon during the worst time in the winter time. Again, the biggest concern is the residences on Pacific Avenue. Anything sort of west of that is all just industrial buildings and the tracks. So we did take a look at that, and from trying to understand this, I think the worst case scenario during the winter time, it has pretty minimal impact on the residences there. I think that's it.
Is that it?
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Michael. If council members have any questions, please go ahead. Go ahead, Blair.
I just want to say that it compares very favorably for its use of the site compared to the ugly boxes they built in Redwood City, just south of Jefferson. They're just like a whole block and no landscaping, no green space, and it's like you're only covering about a third of the buildable space with the buildings, and you have lots of green space, and I think that's important for the quality of life. Is there any chance of amenities like a bicycle rail, the trail thing that would connect this location to like a Caltrain station south and north, or even maybe like a bridge over the train tracks to get to El Camino? Because I know they're going to eventually do something on Dumbarton Corridor, but that's 10, 15 years away. And the real world is people need to get to Redwood City or Atherton to catch the train. So.
Thank you. We've actually heard from a few people about bridging the Caltrain tracks, and honestly, just from being affordable housing developers and the funding that we get, that's not unfortunately very realistic for us to do, the actual bridge over the tracks. But the good thing is one of the affordable housing sources of funding that we apply for is a cap and trade program. Some of the money goes to the affordable housing itself, but some of it also goes toward public transportation improvements. So when we're doing that in two ways, we're going to be working with Samtrans to help increase bus service in the North Fair Oaks area. And then the second is to help fund the Middlefield Road Improvement Project, which includes pedestrian and bike improvements as well. So, as much as we'd love to be able to connect to the other side too, I don't think we can get that done, but we'll try to help fund some of these other programs that are already happening.
I'd like to sort of provide a suggestion for your earlier question about or request about how to continuously keep in communication with the council. I think that it would be great if you keep us posted of major stepping stones, achievements that you do, even if it is via email, and then. If there is, like a time when you finalize a plan and you have it solid, ready to go, that maybe, you can come back and present it to the council and the community again. But I think in the meantime, email updates would be great to know, how the process is going. And if you also need, any support from the council, I know that this is a really good project that will help a lot of people in the entire county of San Mateo, and we're hoping that many of the residents in North Fair Oaks can benefit from this housing opportunity.
Through the chair.
Rosaura?
Yeah. I have a question about the, do you know how many people does you want to accept for 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, or 3 bedroom?
So each unit type has and this is a HUD standard, has a minimum and a maximum. The minimum, so like a 1 bedroom, the minimum would be one person. The maximum is it's 2 people per bedroom plus 1. So like you could have up to 3 people living in a 1 bedroom. You could have up to 5 people living in a 2 bedroom, and you could have up to 7 people living in a 3 bedroom.
Oh, okay. And the income for four persons is 43,980. That's the max of the income, or is the minimum?
That is the maximum.
Okay.
But the rents here coincide to the rent levels at each income. So you can be below, that level and still qualify for that unit, but you'd want to make sure that you still have to pay some rent, and you want to make sure that you can afford to live in that unit. But we'll have, as I said, a number of different levels of units at different levels of incomes.
Your last quick question, Blair?
Oh, you asked how to keep in touch. Palo Alto Housing Corporation has project pages. I looked at them because they're involved on a veteran housing thing on El Camino. If you had a website for Middlefield Junction and you can update it with the plans and have a contact us link for people to submit things, and every time you send print media out or you post on Nextdoor, just point them to that website and people can see the timeline and all that stuff.
Good suggestion. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I did just want to say one thing too, on a personal note. I've worked with many of you very closely. I'm personally leaving Mercy soon, but it was really great to work with everyone, all for good reason. I'm taking some time off with my wife to travel. So, but the rest of the team is staying together. Jung and BAR, Amy and Tim and Barbara at Mercy are all there, Hortensia and Gloria, and we have a new project manager who's going to be filling in my spot, who lives in Menlo Park. So I'm sad to leave everyone, but I'm really excited when I come back to see the progress that's being made. So thank you, and look forward to seeing the next steps.
Yeah, no, thank you for your work.
Thank you.
We'll appreciate it. Is there any public comment for this particular item? I don't see any, so we'll move on to the next presentation regarding the Canopies Free Trees for North Fair Oaks program. A presentation by Michael Hawkins and Maya Briones from Canopy.
Thank you. Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having us. My name is Maya Briones, and I'm the Community Forestry Coordinator for Canopy.
Michael Hawkins, Program Director.
Welcome.
Thank you. And so, how does the clicker work? Just kidding. Got it. So Canopy is a local nonprofit, and we're here to talk to you today about our hopes to provide our services to North Fair Oaks residents. We're a local nonprofit based in Palo Alto, and our goal is to provide and care for free trees for residents. We currently serve a couple different communities along the Mid-Peninsula, and our goal is to provide this service to residents in North Fair Oaks. Our goal with this program is to bring all the wonderful benefits that trees provide us to residents of North Fair Oaks. Canopy has been a nonprofit and was founded in 1996, again in Palo Alto. And since our founding, Canopy has planted 5,000 trees along the Mid-Peninsula. In 2006, Canopy went into East Palo Alto, which is the program that I'm currently running, and to date we have planted almost 3,000 trees in East Palo Alto for residents and also in public spaces such as schools, parking lots, and parks. We also have a tree care program that we provide where we care for every tree that we plant for 3 years. And when I say care for, I mean we structurally prune it to make sure that the tree grows properly and provide other tree care needs such as mulch. We also have an education program that serves second grade elementary school grade children and to teach them about tree care, the benefits that trees provide people, and also environmental issues that can potentially be tackled by planting trees. In addition to these 3 programs, we have our advocacy wing, which works with local governments to ensure that tree-friendly legislation is strong and that local governments are able to support the urban forest. We also have an incredible outreach program that we wouldn't be able to do any of this work without doing our outreach and working closely with the communities that we serve. As I mentioned before, we plant trees for free for residents. We plant yard trees, and these plantings are huge community events where neighbors get together to help each other plant their trees, get outside on a Saturday, and help beautify their neighborhoods and just engage with one another. So the reason we plant trees is because there are so many benefits that come along with trees. The most obvious benefits are the environmental benefits. Trees sequester carbon and help clean our air. And trees also provide wildlife benefits such as habitats, food sources, and shelter. In addition to these benefits, there are economic benefits as well. Planting a tree by a home helps provide energy savings for that home by shading the home in the summer and giving the home sunlight in the winter. And also stormwater reduction is also a huge economic benefit. In addition, research has shown that planting trees and being around trees reduces stress levels in communities, as well as increases levels of happiness. And research also shows that communities with more canopy cover have lower crime rates. Some overlooked benefits include noise and wind reduction, screening against other properties, neighborhood character. As I said, we really work closely with each individual community member to make sure that the tree that they want is one that they really like and will love to steward, and neighbors can get together and they do the plantings together. In addition to that, increased property values is really valuable as well. So what we're proposing is to provide yard trees for free for North Fair Oaks residents, and we would commit to structurally pruning the trees for 3 years of the tree's life in order to ensure that it grows properly. We also would like to invite North Fair Oaks high schoolers to join our internship program. These are paid interns. We call them our teen urban foresters, or TUFs, currently being held by East Palo Alto high schoolers. This program is a really great way for high schoolers to learn about tree care, tree planting, but also communication and leadership skills. We also have an adult education program that we would love to invite North Fair Oaks residents to called Community Forestry School. This is an 8-week course where students will learn how to care for trees, select for appropriate species for appropriate sites, and also how to advocate for trees and green spaces in their communities. We also hope to start a fruit tree program in the new year, and should everything go to schedule, we would love to provide that program to North Fair Oaks residents as well. And we also have a tree hotline program that North Fair Oaks residents could use, where they could call or write in any questions they have about trees, and one of our certified arborists could get back to them with some resources and some answers. So some things that we will need to make this happen are tree champions, or residents who are excited and want to see trees in their neighborhoods. These people could help connect their neighbors with us at Canopy. That way we can, like I said, we work individually with each person that wants a tree, and having a community member that really wants this to happen for their community is helpful. And we're also looking for council support. So if the council has any questions, we would love to answer them. Thank you.
Thanks very much for your presentation. Yes, I'm sure we have lots of questions. Go ahead, Jennifer.
Where would the high schoolers be able to sign up for the program?
So they could sign up online or with our staff member, Jack Dorsey, and I could provide his contact information.
Francis.
Is this internship being held like over school year or like in the summer?
It's held seasonally, so they could do just the summer. They could apply for fall. And planting season is the fall through the spring, October through March. So that's a busy time. We need a lot of interns, but summer does pick up as well. So it's mostly all year round.
Is your proposal limited to yard trees, or does that include also street trees?
So in our other areas, we do street trees, and we enjoy doing street trees. I used to work for the county, so I know from experience it might be hard to convince the county to allow us to plant in the streets, but it's possible and a goal of ours.
Right, because essentially that is what North Fair Oaks needs mostly, street trees. And but your proposal is definitely a very good option. And so, by when you say you need 3 champions, would these champions be anybody, literally from the community, just willing to commit to? What do they need to commit to do, those champions?
Yeah, it could be any resident who lives in North Fair Oaks who likes this idea and wants to see it happen. No one has to commit to a specific. We just need help with outreach and connecting with neighbors. So however that person feels comfortable doing that, whether it's going door to door and flyering and talking to people, tabling, or posting online, we need help with all of that.
And you provide the trees themselves?
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, we buy and plant the trees.
And the labor as well?
The labor is all done by staff and volunteers.
Great. Is there any specific type of trees, or does the resident get to choose the type of tree?
The resident gets to choose. The only parameters are that it has to be drought tolerant, non-invasive, and doesn't produce allergens. And it has to be suitable, obviously, for the parcel size and the planting site.
Right. Go ahead, Blair.
I live in North Fair Oaks, and I like the idea of trees. I'm an apartment dweller, and my landlord, I haven't asked her. I will ask whether she's willing to host a tree, but we have a community garden plot over by the St. Francis Center, and a lot of neighborhood people get together and tend the garden. So we can ask at the next garden group meeting if people are interested in joining a canopy program and getting trees either at their homes or apartment complexes. I think it's about 50-50 in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
About half the people are apartment dwellers and the other half might be homeowners or home renters.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'll volunteer for by the west side, by El Camino, Buckingham.
Okay, great. Thank you. You feel free to contact me if you need any resources, flyers, or anything. We can do big projects if we talk, like apartments, if we know the owner and able to work with the owner.
Yeah, we'd love to have leads on large sites where we can plant more than just a handful of trees. I was tempted to track down the folks from Mercy Housing because we might be able to partner with them.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Virgin Field right out there.
Any other questions from council members? Do you guys have any business cards, or is your information in the literature that you gave us?
Yeah, we had left some flyers up at the front, our impact report from last year and a tree care brochure. On all that has our information on it.
Okay, great. Thanks very much for your presentation. And can you tell us your website address?
Yep. It's canopy.org.
Oh,
that's easy.
Try
And
to keep
do we
it
have
simple.
any public comment about this? Please go ahead.
You mentioned the future plan for.
If you can get closer to the mic.
Sorry. Mentioned fruit trees in the future. Could you talk a little bit about that and if there might be an option to plant trees for those people that are willing on the street so that the public can benefit from the fruit?
So as Maya said before, we currently can't do street trees, including fruit trees, but we would love to plant fruit trees in front yards. I don't see why not.
So that's happening now?
We try and do that in the winter time because we can get bare root fruit trees, which are a lot cheaper. So we should have more information about the fruit tree giveaway program come November or so.
Thank you very much. Yeah, one last question from
if
me.
down the line, if the county agree, because we've had street trees planted in our neighborhood. They're still up and they're beautiful. So if that's something that becomes possible, would you supply the trees to that type of effort? If we get the green light that we can organize neighborhoods to identify place locations in their neighborhood and get permission and everyone in agreement, but that's something you might be able to supply?
Absolutely. Like Michael said, if we can get larger planting sites, such as street islands or even just planter strips in front of people's houses, we're definitely able to do that.
Okay, because we've had a tree planting program before, and they weren't yard trees, they were street trees.
Oh, okay.
So,
Yeah, I've seen individual residents lobby the county to get street trees planted,
Right.
and it's been successful.
but as far as the supply, maybe work together on that.
Absolutely. And that also reminds me, there's another organization that works in Redwood City, and they've done some work in North Fair Oaks as well. They're called City Trees. So we partnered with them before, and we're working more closely with them now that we have funding that's available for North Fair Oaks.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks very much. We will have reports to the council. Do we have a supervisor's report?
Good evening, council members. My name is Irving Suarez. I'm a senior legislative aide with Supervisor Warren Slocum. And since it's the month of August, I only have one announcement to make. And that is next Friday will be my last day working for Supervisor Warren Slocum. So, yes. It's been a great honor to work with the council members for 6.5 years. I'm very proud of each and every one of you in terms of like all the actions and projects that we set forth in North Fair Oaks with regards to illegal dumping, housing, all these other projects as well. And so I'm really excited too that the council was able to establish a youth member as well. These youth members are going on to do amazing things as well. And I just want to commend the Office of Community Affairs for their support in terms of supporting the North Fair Oaks Community Council. I'm also excited about their initiative about the Census 2020. It's such an important project, and I hope that the council will be supporting in that effort moving forward. I also want to thank County Council, specifically Melissa Andrikopoulos, for serving and supporting the North Fair Oaks Community Council. So with that, thank you all, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. So I am going to be working on a presidential campaign. So I'm going to be working on one of the candidates for the upcoming election in 2020. So I'm going to go back into it. As you all recall, I was on the Obama campaign in 2012. And I just think it's such an important, worthwhile initiative. I think you all have experienced just the level of fear that a lot of our families have. And so I just wanted to kind of do my part, go out there and make sure that we have a better outcome for 2020. Yeah, thank you.
Well, Irving, I'd like to commend you for your work, and I know that I speak for all the council members that have worked with you, those sitting here as well as, those council members who are not here, who have been part of the council, because certainly with, with you and within the years that you have provided help to the North Fair Oaks Community Council, I think that the North Fair Oaks Council has seen its renaissance, perhaps. And I hope that I hope that I'm wrong, but that speaks, volumes well for you, because your work has been tremendous, and we really appreciate it, and we wish you the best in your future. And remember, if things don't work for you anywhere, come back. We're here.
Yeah, thank you for that.
We'll take you.
Yeah. In closing, I just want to also just say that I'm really excited for the next leaders in San Mateo County with Sandy and Mitzi and so many others that worked, for the past couple of years. I know they're going to step up to the plate, and I look forward to seeing all of them, these kind of up and coming leaders, do big things for the county and specifically here in North Fair Oaks. So thank you.
Thanks very much.
Irving.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Do we have a county manager's report?
Through the chair. As you might be aware, we mentioned this before. Department of Public Works has been working on Middlefield Road, and they did a recent sidewalk steam cleaning throughout all Middlefield from Pacifica to 8th Avenue. That project is almost done, and removal of gum and sidewalks, so you'll really see the difference in the change. Please, I invite you guys to go and look, but we've also put that on our website and share that through the community. Furthermore, North Fair Oaks, we talked about the city pilot program through the 5th Avenue corridor. I hope you guys have all enjoyed the recent improvements that they've done on 5th Avenue, the landscaping beautification that's done there, where there was overgrown vegetation and weeds have now all been replaced by some trees and some flowers and ongoing kind of removing of litter and stuff, and that's been through the efforts of the Department of Public Works. And really, we've seen a decrease in illegal dumping because of that work and effort, and they've reassigned and deployed 2 full-time public works staff again to the North Fair Oaks. Furthermore, under the Office of Community Affairs and our immigrant services, we have been distributing red card distribution about Know Your Rights. So throughout the county, we've distributed over 20,000, and in North Fair Oaks, they went down all Middlefield Road through the businesses, through the faith-based organizations, the schools, libraries, and so those have been big distribution that's been going on most recently. And finally, you will notice that on Berkshire within the next week, that there's a new Berkshire parking lot will be opening up. And so we're doing outreach efforts as well down Middlefield Road and through the residents and for the businesses, so they can access that new parking lot. And that's our update.
Great. Thank you, Emma.
Through the chair, if I
Yeah,
could make
of course.
a brief update as well.
Of course.
I just wanted to let the council know that my office has had a few changes, and my assignments have changed. So this will unfortunately be my last meeting.
Oh, wow.
Council. Yeah, after I think I've been 5 years joining you guys. You were my very first assignment when I came to the county, and I have really enjoyed the time that we spent together and getting to see the benefit that you guys really provide for the community with all of your hours of pure volunteer work that you put into this community. It's been an honor to get to sit with you all, and I really appreciate it.
Are you going far or
No.
just rotating?
Just rotating. I'll be, my new night meeting client will be CCAG, the City Council Association of Governments, and another deputy from our office, Tim Fox, should be joining you guys, and he's extremely experienced, and you'll be in good hands.
Great.
And I won't be far away. I'm sure I'll probably see you again.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we appreciate your work and, all the legal support that you provided us, all the information that you gave us. I think that I can speak for all council members that have come to work with you, that we have learned, a lot. About some of the legal processes, and and it's thanks to you. So we appreciate your work, and we wish you the best.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I can't remember how many times, but when in doubt, we just kind of look at you and and you pick it up and know where we're trying to go, and have been extremely helpful and professional. Thank you very much. Thank you.
And then we have council members' reports. Do any council members have anything to report?
Yeah, and the new restaurant at East Selby and El Camino, called Selby's, has opened up, and we're having a lot of issues. So I don't know. I'm just going to report that we probably need to do a follow-up with the planning department or whoever put together the agreement, because there were very specific agreed-to conditions regarding parking. And so that's just become a huge problem, and it's just something to look at. I also wanted to, so that's just a comment request. I'm continuing to work with the Climate Ready North Fair Oaks. It's an initiative supported by Stanford, so I've been working on that. And also the Mercy Housing Redwood Junction project. So there's some good projects going on. There's some good work. I don't want to get into too much detail. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. If there's Blair, go ahead.
Oh, on the Shelby's restaurant, there was like a really good discussion on Nextdoor with like 20 people chiming in and talking about all the issues. Right. And I threw in my 2 cents. I said, call your county supervisor. Here's the contact information. But it's a nice example of community activism. The neighborhood people talking to each other, talking to the manager of the restaurant. So I'm glad that it's still like we're paying attention and they're paying attention and people are listening. So yeah, I agree. We need to follow up.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I'm sorry, I forgot. Sunrise Senior Housing broke ground. So if you drive by East Selby Lane and El Camino, everything's, demoed out. And so that construction has started.
Are they across the street from the restaurant?
Yes, that's a whole nother, whole nother issue.
So I have a couple of items. The first one is to ask you all if you all have access and can and easily do access your North Fair Oaks Council email account. Because I know Francis has trouble, so we're going to try to figure out her issue. But if anybody else from the council has problems accessing their email, hang out after this session, and we'll try to figure out how to access that. There is an option, and perhaps you all are using it. There's an option to forward your North Fair Oaks Council email to your personal account if you want to link them so that you don't have to log in every time. You get notified automatically in your personal email. So if you would like to do that and don't have it, it is handy sometimes, though I'd like to encourage you to always respond and utilize your North Fair Oaks Council email account. It is vital for us as a council to preserve those, because otherwise county, if they don't see that much use on those accounts, they may decide to cancel them. And then also related to email, I wrote to each one of you asking you to please try to respond promptly after you receive any notification on that email account. And is not necessarily to force you to come to the meetings, but it's just to know whether you're going to be able to make it or not, because we need to know whether we're going to meet quorum for the specific meeting. And if you cannot, we understand that, sometimes life has surprises and doesn't allow. But if you do, as soon as you get that email, it'll be nice, and you take it out of your mind. If you reply, just saying yes and forgetting about it, and then you just show up at the meeting. And then the other issue was about the newsletter, the Fair Oaks Council newsletter that we talked about implementing, and that Blair had brought up as a possibility for communicating with the community at large. And so that a particular issue is not going to work as it is, supported on their county. And so that is something that Blair and I will continue discussing to find out if we want to pursue it separately from council, and if we do so, we will let you know, because there's still opportunities for participation, with text announcements. I know that you all are interrelated in community events and associations. So it would be nice if you have, for example, an announcement from your school or wherever, one of your groups that are doing something here in North Fair Oaks. It'll be good to convey it to either Blair or myself, so that we can put it, in that newsletter if we ever get to do that project. But as of now, we're still talking about it. And go ahead, Blair.
Yeah, we will continue to work on interactive communication from the council and also from the residents at large. It just turned out that because of legal reasons, the county can't support a municipal advisory body like ourselves doing a newsletter as we propose, but we'll tinker with it. We might do something on Nextdoor or some other fashion. It just wouldn't be officially a part of the county council. And I've got an idea that just occurred to me. If we do like an alias, North Fair Oaks Community Council .org, and have people send emails, and we could put at the end of the C-SPAN or whatever this broadcast is, send your suggestions, comments, and feedback. We can assemble that into a digest, and the council can look at it between meetings of, people saw the broadcast or saw the agenda, couldn't make the meeting, but they want us to know about a couch dumped on their street, or these loud neighbors, or the desperate need for a street tree on this, whatever it is. I'd like to open a little more 21st century digital democracy and give people a chance to speak. Yeah.
Thank you, Blair. Just last, I remember that I received an invitation from the organization Caron, and they mentioned briefly an event that they're going to have in September. I can't remember the date, but I have the invitation, and I will forward it to you in case you guys want to participate. They're also inviting us if we want to have a table for the North Fair Oaks Council. They would facilitate that. And so, if you guys end up being interested in that, we can have a table for that event. But I'll send the invitation before, I think this is. I think this is another event.
Oh, the 20th anniversary thing.
It's the 20th anniversary. Yeah, I think so. So, but I'll forward that whole information with the specific date and time and place. And for that, that's pretty much everything I have, unless you.
Actually, Melissa, this will be your final question. This whole business about quorum and canceling meetings because there's no quorum, and maybe I'm not reading it correctly, but our bylaws only speak to quorum as they relate to action items. So if we have an agenda with one action item and 4, discussion agendas. And I think that was the case the last time. Did you have something to say, Emma? Oh, okay. So I didn't quite understand why the meeting was canceled. Because I hated to see multicultural come back, because they could have given that report at the July meeting. So, but anyway, please clarify that.
Yeah, I think when this came up initially, maybe 6 months ago, or maybe it was more recent than that. Was it that long ago? Time keeps flying. I advise that legally, for the council to have a meeting, a quorum is required, regardless of whether there's any action or just discussion items. That doesn't mean that fewer than a quorum of you couldn't be here and have people come and give presentations and speak to you. You could hear it. It could be broadcast. The public could benefit from it. The issue that is not the legal issue is, I guess, more one of allocation of staff time and resources. And I think that there was a discussion about more of a policy decision about when to cancel a meeting and when not to cancel a meeting.
Okay, but our bylaws do not speak to that.
That's correct.
So we're to follow our bylaws. So, that to me, that's a bit of a conflict because number one, it puts our calendar back. It puts people who wanted to come, puts them back. And I don't even know, was there a sign posted that the meeting was canceled? I mean, it just is not good business. It's not a good way to handle things, in my opinion. So I always revert back to bylaws. So if there's something else that we need to decide on, then we need to put an amendment in the bylaws. But anyway.
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing I would point out is, and I think we talked about this before as well, is when someone is coming to present to the council, I realize there are obviously other people that are participating and listening in, but that would typically mean they want to present to more than one or two of you, right? So it kind of, we don't want to slow down people's schedules, but we also want them to benefit from the collective input of the council. So it's really kind of just weighing that balance.
Thank you, Melissa.
Right. I think that this is a conversation that we may continue having, you know, at some point, perhaps even at a study session, and dedicate some time to it. But another thing that I also wanted to mention was that there is still one post, a council member seat available, open from the North Fair Oaks Community Council, and we will be conducting interviews next week on Tuesday. There are 4, I believe, if not 5 candidates for that position. So we will keep you posted, you know, as of the decision made for that individual at the North Fair Oaks Council meeting in September.
Through the chair, I
Yes.
just wanted to, back to the, when we were talking about the quorum and the meeting, I wanted to remind the council that there was agreement on the policy that Melissa's referencing. That was an agreement made at the retreat earlier this year. So that policy, and it was a discussion made by the council as an agreement made that day. That's where we then came back. And so we have, it's written in the notes as well, and we can share that with you.
It should be in the notes, I would think. Yeah. But thank you. Yeah, and you know, as the chair, I understand that is, you know, it requires commitment from both, you know, from county because we utilize resources and we should be mindful of that, but also requires commitment from council members as well. And you know, I think it is important to continuously renew our commitment, look at our involvement in other issues, and evaluate whether, you know, this is working for us or is not. Because again, we have the responsibility to continue this this link of communication with the county for the community at large, not just for ourselves, but you know, the community would be disserviced if the North Fair Oaks Community Council were to continue missing those public meetings or, God forbid, you know, disappear. So I think it's a mutual commitment that we have to keep reminding ourselves. And with that, thanks very much. The meeting is adjourned.